like the broadcast is from here, so we are in a right position. Do you need chair for that?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
I'd like to sit down. I'd like to be able to look at the screen while I'm discussing the screen. Okay.
Nie, tam z tyłu są krzesła, także nie ma problemu. No właśnie, I lost the CD, now I see where it is. It's here. And look at it. Benoît, I know that it's not nice because it's a little bit destroyed, but I will give you at evening the new one. But you are there because we released the album before the festival, which is quite nice. You can check.
Already,
we can check what you are doing, this night, for example, from the CD. So that's one of the ideas. We can do it like this. Suskan, check whether Benoît is there because I'm not sure.
Yes.
Okay, great.
Number
Thank
10.
you very much. Super.
Take this chair here. It's a strange title for a conference here, whatever this is, a workshop. But Malik said, so spontaneous, so would you like to give a talk? And I said, how much money? And he said, no, it's whatever. He said, they'd like to give a talk, and I said, yeah, I don't mind giving a talk, especially if I get to talk about myself. And the main thing, it's a little bit controversial to say trouble. We were just talking about the word trouble. I used to be a painter. I'm jumping the gun here. I used to be a painter. I stopped about 40 years ago, and I felt a desire inside myself to work with public spaces. And I don't know if it was, it has to go back to our childhood, or a very early time in our childhood, but my parents had given me a little kit back in those days, a little radio kit to how to build a radio. And I figured that if I wanted to work outdoors, making air vibrate is a very good way to do that. Also a very logistically simple and cheap way to do that. So making air vibrate, that means working with loudspeakers.
How old were you?
I think 12.
Pretty early start for you.
Yeah. Well, you get these little kits, for Christmas, and so you get a kit like that.
I'm checking on it though. Yeah, that's my piece, by the way. But it doesn't matter. We have a sound. Okay?
Oh.
We have a video. We have a sound.
Okay.
That's good.
All right. Okay. And then.
Even we have the cursor, so we can navigate.
So you're all involved with music here, right? But I'm involved with making air vibrate. But we have something in common with one another.
We're not the same.
What was that?
We're not the same.
We're not the same?
Yes, like in this joke.
Well, I had another joke for you afterwards, but
Krzesełko jeszcze.
Go to infos. I'm really not good at this. Oh, here we are. Okay.
If you need mouse, we have the mouse.
I'll let you know. Okay. Is this going to be double page or is this? How do I get double page on this?
Click on the main button. Or you want to go to the
This
full
now
screen?
PDF. Yeah, full screen, but double page. Double page.
Then to be honest, I don't know.
Well, let's just go and see what happens when you go down.
Probably not in a browser.
Okay, so we have to take it off the browser, right?
Or this icon in the left up corner, maybe? Of the Explorer, not the...
On inside the main window. Wait a minute. Go up.
It's in Polish, guys.
Yeah. Well, we have this green. We have this green button.
Yes, on the right of the
Yes,
green.
yes, that green button.
Oh,
So
okay.
it works.
Seems maybe.
Maybe that.
No, maybe
I
someone
know it.
No, I
someone
think it's-
manages the screen
It's
on the
easier to
Don't,
download
I
it.
think you can just
And
download the
hit-
document
and
Yes,
Yeah.
it will be the safest.
and
Yeah.
you do it at the bottom of the screen actually.
Okay, we're gonna spend our time here trying to get this going here. So where is it?
Just go with the mouse to the bottom of the
with this-
screen.
Do you want me to help you?
yes,
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
and you just say go forward next
Do you
picture.
want to
That's
just
down.
to go
download
full
it and
screen,
then-
you mean, or you want to download it and
Download
have
it.
like two on the
Yeah.
sides?
Yeah, download it and have two
Is
on
that-
each
Is
side.
that the
yeah.
one? Somewhere here, yeah. No?
Perhaps we should close the other one as well.
There you go.
Okay. And now you said you want to have something like yeah, I'm also not so good at Polish.
View, and there is an option in double screen and preview.
This trouble.
This is preview, I think.
Yeah, so there's an option for double pages.
Yeah, but I don't know where like to find it.
This
It
is
doesn't
there.
say
I
anything.
think it should be there. One of those videos up there. One of these up here. Pick where.
Yeah, maybe someone who knows Polish can do that. Because I
Wiesz, o
don't
co
see
chodzi?
it.
No to możesz
Mogę spróbować.
Ile trzeba doktoratów, żeby odpalić
Ja też
Nie, bo wiesz,
jestem,
jak już
I'm also
jesteś
not too
profesorem,
good
to
in
już
the
nie
Polish.
musisz, wiesz. Doktor jestem wymagający, doktor, PhD jest, is a level.
Bo tak się śmieją, że po habilitacji traci się umiejętność odpalania
A nie, to
dokumentów,
już,
projektory
wiesz,
przestają
Mają
działać.
koncepcję
Nagle.
wtórnej, takiego, wiesz, analfabetyzmu wtórnego, co się łączy potem z refluksem i w ogóle.
Any questions?
So far, so
Bo
good.
jest chyba pełne, nie wiem.
I think you should download the file and open it.
It's
in
downloaded already. It's
file.
just you're
Okay.
you're looking at the wrong screen, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, way behind.
Good
There you
riddance.
Oh, yes.
Oh, okay. Great.
Arrow up and down, you can change the
Thank you,
screen.
Krzysiu.
Yeah, but I
That's
wanna
my
go
American
away.
PhD.
This is the discussion moment when we figure out that we
There's normally there's a thing on the side where you go real fast.
Oh my god,
but,
so big.
yeah, there.
The arrows up and down,
On
yeah.
the level of
help you
system
with-
also.
Yeah, this
Each
goes
of
faster,
us,
but
we are
that's
using
fine.
the same system. We are using completely different functions.
Yeah.
You did too much in your life, that's the problem.
Is that a problem? I think it is.
Well, now it is.
Anyway, right. So, actually, I didn't want to stop at this one. Let's take it. Got it. I first started because I noticed that there were loudspeakers everywhere in the world, in the train station, and buses, and cars everywhere. And I said, well, let's make this simple, and let's just start using loudspeaker systems that already exist. And so I thought of in conference rooms or whatever, I thought of like talking to people through the loudspeaker system. I said stupid things like, yellow and blue make green. I'm a painter, right? So yellow and blue make green. But it didn't seem to impress the people very much. And then they didn't give me the permission to use those loudspeaker systems anyway. So I decided, what will I do? I'm going to install loudspeaker inside clothes. And then I don't have to ask permission for that, which is good for troublemakers. So what I did was I started dressing up my friends and myself into loudspeakers, and with using loudspeakers inside the clothes. And what was very useful at that time is that Walkmans came on the market. Instead of ghetto blasters, we were using ghetto blasters to play music through the speakers. But Walkmans came on the market, so we could make little cassettes and then put them inside our jackets. And the jackets had little small amplifiers with 9-volt batteries inside them. And so all my friends brought me their jackets, and so we turned this into a group. This is I made recordings in my kitchen of one cassette was pots and pans, another one was breaking glass, another one was forks and knives. So each cassette had a different kind of cooking utensil in it. So I called this a heavy metal band because each one had a different sound of metal playing through it. And so what this group did was that we'd like to show up because we were very thirsty. We decided, well, if we're going to have a band, we don't need any permission, so let's go to art openings and hang out in art openings. Because that's where the white wine is, and then we can just go there and entertain the people and then drink white wine. So this is called All You Buddies. This is 1983, I believe. And that was a lot of fun. Anyway, but then I was unsatisfied with the sound quality of these clothes, so we decided we'd make a concept. So this is the Bundesgartenshow, the Berlin Garden Show. So I decided let's create the All You Heard. All You Heard was a herd. You can see it with costumes that look like fake animal skin, and then we made recordings of animals. So you didn't need a real animal herd. You could have this herd walking through, meandering through the garden, playing monkey sounds in the forest, drone sound on the prairies, people sound inside the cafeteria. And this is the first. We also had to develop amplifiers on for the jackets instead of just little small amplifiers. We had official amplifiers that you can see on the back of the herd. Let me see if I move back this, whatever. So this is the beginning of a thing I call the multi-acoustic mobile sound sculpture. Once again, sound as a sculpture that you perceive with your ear. And I'm discovering all this stuff myself because nobody did this at this time, and I didn't know anything about this kind of stuff. But it was fun because you could go anywhere outside and work with spaces and have the group essentially in a choreography spread out in rooms or in spaces, and essentially that was a composition. Each element, each person in the All You Heard had his sound, but of course with the movement of the different actors, you could compose it in spaces and move around in those spaces. But like I said, I'm discovering this myself. Right below that you have the invitation to Ars Electronica in 1985, where we adopted then the steelworking uniforms, and we used original sound recordings from the steelworking plants in the First Alpine, which is outside of Linz, where the festival happens. So there's this concept that's developing of working site-specifically with an area or a region or a culture, adopting their clothes or their uniforms, and at the same time adapting them with sound recordings originally that have to do with that space or that sound or that area. We're moving really fast here. When the technician asked me when he was building the amplifiers on the for the All You Heard, he said, should the amplifier also have a microphone line in instead of just playing cassettes through a Walkman with pre-recorded sound? I said, why would you want to have a line-in microphone for your clothes? I mean, why should you talk through yourself? You know. He said, well, it's cheap. It's just as cheap. I can have the preamp on it, and I can have without a preamp, but it's cheaper. And that way, you can also use a microphone and talk through yourself if you have to. I said, okay, so what? It's an interesting idea, but I'm moving here. Exactly. Why is it so unfocused? Well, it's a bad quality PDF. There was. So the lower picture here, I'm sorry, the quality here, is called the Guitar Monkeys. So when I noticed that these clothes could actually, using a microphone is actually expressing yourself through the microphone. So instead of using pre-recorded sounds, you can also play an instrument through it, a guitar or whatever, not just a microphone, but a guitar. So I started a band in Berlin in the mid-'80s called the Guitar Monkeys, where no one in the group knew how to play a guitar or an instrument, whatever. But we would just pick up all the acoustic instruments or guitars and put a piezo microphone, which is a very cheap kind of microphone that costs like 50 cents or something, and then play through your clothes. in this case, we developed these jackets, these vests here, and also boxes that you could wear. And so essentially the Guitar Monkeys working with spaces, okay, using instruments, but essentially also working with feedback, essentially, because if you have a microphone and you're wearing the loudspeaker and you're adjusting in a space, you're walking through a space, feedback is produced. Feedback was not the reason for the Guitar Monkeys. The Guitar Monkeys was just for playing guitars. But the group, this is the only band, punk rock band, that actually worked with spaces, and we could move around inside the clubs. We were never hardly ever on a stage, but you could move around in the club, and with this group essentially creating also feedback, but also playing your guitar. As I said, it's a question of choreography, multi-acoustic, mobile choreographies inside spaces. And through the experience of the guitar, on top, above that, you see invitation to a festival in Brittany, and we built audio tricos for bicyclists. So Trico also had loudspeakers and amplifier and recordings at that time still of Bernard Hinault, who was the big bicycle champion of the Tour de France, and he actually made a recording for us, and we split that recording among 10 different channels, and each no. Oh, okay. No, it's not doing anything. Oh, yeah. So it's not doing anything for me anymore.
Escape.
Go to the left.
Okay. Okay, so up here you have a group of cyclists that organize their own cycle. These are French Brittany people. They're all crazy about cycling anyway. They organize their own race through the city of Rennes. For me, that's a choreography with this multi-acoustic group. So for me, that was ideal that the sound is from Tour de France winner talking about racing, and then having the cyclists themselves organize a race through it. So the choreography was made by them. We built the tricos, and then they just did their thing with the cassette. But going back to the Guitar Monkeys, okay, on the top right hand side is in Oslo. We used a choreography of the Royal National Guard of Oslo. It's a little bit like in England, those guards in England, in London, that march around, and we provided them then with audio vests and with microphones in their shoes and in their umbrellas. So they did their strict choreography in front of the Modern Art Museum there, but according to the military choreography, using our sounds, which is essentially contact microphones in the shoes and then the umbrellas. There's all kinds of videos that I'm going to show you hopefully at the end of this. And below here to the right is audio subway controllers. At that time in Berlin, in the subway, they always had some guy telling you when to get on the train and when to get off the train. So, einsteige bitte and zurückbleiben. And so I noticed that in each station they had a different kind of voice. So there was a different person talking through the microphone. So we did a recording of the whole line number 1 in Berlin, and we split up that recording of zurückbleiben and einsteige bitte among 7 non-official subway controllers. Here you don't see any electronics on it. They have corsets like the audio heard, and they have Walkmans with the sound on them. Moving on then to Tokyo and Japan. There we built the audio geishas. Geisha is a typical performer in Japan that plays guitars and is there for entertainment. And we discovered that these Casio voice band little electronic pianos that could sample sounds, they could make 4 different kind of samples. And instead of using the keyboard on the Casio, we used photoresistors. So whatever technique, photoresistor will work the same way as when you press on a key. But in this case, depending on the light that hits that sensor on their hands or on the, they had 6 different sensors. So essentially, we made samples of a shamisen instrument, and the keyboard essentially pitches the sound of that shamisen on it. But these triggers for the pitching then were triggered by these photoresistors in the kimono. So this is kind of a modern version of a geisha. They call it audio geisha. There's 4 of them, and they're wearing a large guitar amplifier on the back that you don't see. And you see this is kind of circuit bending. You see in front of them that's a Casio that's taken apart. And here you go, the cyclists once again. Nice view of the loudspeakers on the back. They're getting ready to move. Here are the guitar monkeys. Actually, they do wind up on stage at some point. And the only way was this band, I mean, they were also very thirsty. They like to drink beer. They would go to the bar, but they're always playing guitar. And then people would try to lock them up inside the bathroom, but they would come out of the bathroom. And in the end, we would figure out a certain situation in the bar where we could all meet. And then we would say, the scream was, shut up, shut up, shut up. And then they would all fall down into a huge pile of people and loudspeakers and batteries and guitars. And then they would unplug themselves, and then people would applaud. Usually applauding because they were finally finished, more than any other reason. This was a house band for the squatters in West Berlin in the mid-80s. Feedback Fred. So through the developing of these audio clothes, we also developed special clothes or units for different people in the group. In this case, this is Feedback Fred, who wears a big giant loudspeaker on his back and has a microphone mask. And essentially, he's adjusting his feedback according to his movement inside the room, and also a little slide potty that he has in his hand. So these are different situations with Feedback Fred. Audio vacuum cleaner. Wonderful instrument here. Nothing gets cleaned, but he's playing the sound of a vacuum cleaner. And of course, there's no vacuum cleaner, it's just the end, but it's the sound of a vacuum cleaner. And so you go around cleaning things, but they stay dirty. On the left, you see a whole group of them in Cleveland. Yeah. We tried to sell this cassette to people also, informing that if you don't have to clean your house, you can just play the sound of cleaning, and your neighbors will think, wow, that's a family that likes to clean their house. But you just put it inside your cassette player and put up the volume, and they say, wow, he's cleaning his house again. Oh, wow.
How many do you have?
We're working on it. Okay, this is a different kind of pictures. Here's the audio herd where you can see the amplifier on the back. And this is where they're playing frog sounds. So that's why they're looking on the ground. They're looking for frogs. And you can kind of see the multi-acoustic effect, but you see at least 3 of the performers there walking around. On the left, you can see how the corset, the loudspeaker corset, is built into the clothing for the audio herd. We moved to a small village after the wall came down, and my neighbors had a peacock, and so I said, okay, instead of just audio ballerinas, let's also do something for men. And so this is an audio peacock wearing a sampler that we found in Korea. Those samplers they have are actually for for merchant, for vegetable salesmen. And they're great. They're 12 volt, and you know, you can just record something, and we're always working with 12 volt. Anyway, so this has about 16 loudspeakers, and it's very directional, and it's basically for men. But some of my audio ballerinas like to use them too. But yeah, audio peacock. What we discovered also after building these things, because we always discover things when we're building things, is using polycarbonate, which is what the tutus are made with anyway. You can also work with light, and eventually there'll be some pictures here of okay, well, here's a peacock in nature. This is a wildlife bird sanctuary in our backyard here. So instead of just birds, you also have a new kind of bird. You have an audio peacock there in the distance, and you can tell how far the sound works. It has very good sound. One peacock lost in the nature. So here's where you see that we actually worked out the idea that the peacock samples his own voice and pitches it so it actually sounds like a peacock, going like ee. But we also noticed that we could work with video projections on the back. So actually, we worked out a system that the sound that we produced could be sent to an oscilloscope, and the oscilloscope would actually show as a pictogram, would actually show the sound on this pictogram, and then we could project that onto the peacock costume. So while the peacock was playing his sound, you could hear his sound through the costume, but you could also see the sound on the costume. So this is an audio-visual portable sound system. Oh, here's where I wanted to start actually. Anyway, going quickly through here. So here's the beginnings here with the first audio jackets. On the left you can see where I was trying to work with public spaces and talking through a microphone. Okay, once again a run through here, audio jacket there on the left, and then the steel workers on the right, and then the bicyclists down there. And as I said, the Guitar Monkeys was the beginning of a new era, because we as a group could not just play recorded sounds, but we could make our own sounds, which actually then brought a new era, because when I had the idea at some point of, instead of using batteries, of using solar cells to power the audio clothes. But that's very difficult, because you have to have the solar cells on a horizontal surface. So this is why we developed these tutu surfaces made out of polycarbonate, in order to have the solar cells get enough sunlight. And then we all of a sudden on the market then started these little samplers. Digital samplers came out on the market, really cheap, made from taken out of old toys or whatever. So a dancer walked into my studio one day and she looked at that and she said, "What's that tutu doing on your floor?" And I said, "What the hell is a tutu?" And she said, "That's what we wear when we do Swan Lake, you know." And so this idea of a solar-powered audio clothes also became audio ballerina. And the audio ballerina had the great advantage also of not just wearing the clothes, but also dancing to it. So on the tutu, we provided an amplifier, a preamp, a radio receiver, and a light-to-sound sensor that would allow the ballerina to actually be using different sensors and effects, not just her movement, but the samplers could also be controlled via photoresistors, so they could actually change the speed and the sound and the pitch of the sound they had recorded. So this was actually a dance group that would go into spaces and using solar energy here with no battery, go into spaces and be able to work with the environment around that. If it's not just energy from the sun, it would be lighting through a light to frequency controller, or sampling a local sound like a church tower or a bell tower or something like that. And also, it gave us a big variety of things to work with. What did work quite well was the solar energy. Okay, so here you see the second generation of audio tutus, where we stopped working with solar cells because it was a nice idea, but the problem is you can't do concerts inside rooms, or when the sun went away. It's a very nice effect, but they would lose their sound completely when there was no sun. So we decided to work with rechargeable batteries. So here actually the second generation of audio tutu, and you see that the ballerina is provided with a kit. Inside the kit you have a rake with a contact microphone on it, so they could rake the ground, and then the battery pack, and then the preamp, the amp, also a little music stick, so they could also work with pre-recorded sounds, and a radio. And the radio, actually, the radio I do, it was an Apple radio, which means it had nothing to do with Macintosh or whatever. These are little radios that children built in school, that with the power of an Apple, they could make the radio work. In this case, we still work with a solar cell, but the solar cell would power the radio, actually essentially white noise coming through it, but that would still be via their movement, right? Because if they move their head in one direction, they would lose that white noise. They might actually get a radio station. So whatever. This is electroacoustic clothing that actually allows you, the dancers, to create their own sounds while they're moving. Right, we're going through it. So the ballerinas started their worldwide tour here. On the left, they're working with Aborigines in Australia. Right below there, they're working with a saxophone player in Sweden. And then here you have the geisha up on the top there. And right, going the wrong way. No, going the wrong way. Feedback fed on the left, and electronic guide that you can go visit. You can see tonight at the museum. That'll be myself. Where I actually have a tuxedo. I built it for the mayor of Berlin because he had a big saying. He said, "Berlin tut gut." So I said I would build him a tuxedo jacket that said, "Berlin does you good." But then I also added a sampler to it, added a lot of different instruments to it, and actually working with light to work with my sample and working with guitars, etc. And here you have the peacock. And as I said, on the right hand side here, where you actually see the sound to light control being projected onto the peacocks during the performance. I think we really have to get to the videos because this is just right. So what happened was the ballerinas really are still touring worldwide, and they're a wonderful, very ripe product that we have. But I still wanted to build sculptures that did not necessarily move, but that people could use themselves for talking through. So I had the opportunity once then in Baitz to work with a company that recycled loudspeakers, and so we built the first essentially relic. This is the original entrance to a castle or something, using loudspeakers from the local recycling company and allowing people then to talk through these structures themselves, or use Bluetooth or different forms of, or calling it up and talking through it, essentially moving. Here on the left you actually see us on the top here. You actually see the Zorben. So we worked with traditional dance groups also. In this case, allowing them not just to play their dance to the instruments, but actually allowing their traditional clothes to light up according to the sound that's being played for them. So Zorben 3000. On the right you have audio suicide. So these are loudspeakers that get thrown down into a dungeon, and they scream, and especially when they hit the ground, then they break. There's another great video I'm going to show you later on. So on the left you have once again these structures, audio eagle on the top. On the bottom you have speakers field, which is these recycled loudspeakers that actually played employment offers for a little village in our area, because unemployment was a problem. And on the bottom there also a field where we're allowing local folklore people to make recordings and play through these loudspeakers on the field. On the right you have the audio guillotine. Audio guillotine is a machine for changing the sound of loudspeakers. So essentially we had politicians recordings of politicians, and then playing through the loudspeaker, and then we could use these heavy blocks to crash those loudspeakers. But it's a very interesting process. Once again, let's get to the videos, because then you can see a little bit more what's going on. But the sculpture project idea was the idea of mine, because I said performing it's really hard to survive. What's much better is to build objects. What's much better. It's different, but it's different. So I started a run of creating monumental public sculptures using loudspeakers, using recycled loudspeakers. Because first of all, the loudspeakers are really cheap. We get them for free from a lot of places. And then on the top there you see the temple, which is an exact copy of the Delphi temple from Greece. where the gods used to be able to speak through the priestesses in the Delphi temple. But in this case, there was an answering machine, two answering machines, so people could call up and talk through the sculpture for 3 minutes. 3,000 loudspeakers for 3 minutes. And on the bottom left of that, you have an arena situation where, like an arena is, which would allow people to call up and talk through it, or directly plug their electric guitar or their instruments into the sculpture. Or we were using also Twitter, so people could also send messages that would be read through the sculpture. What else could it do? Yeah, also be just used as a place for people to meet and to talk. An arena is actually very special because it's also built to be transported into sections. That was the idea. We would set it up in different parts of the city or whatever. On the left, you have we should really get to the pictures here. On the left, you have for Japan, we built the Torii Gate, also with a principle. And below that, you have a one for the Fusion Festival in Germany, where we built this huge tower, light tower. And on the bottom right is a ship we built, because I thought, I hate normal structures. Let's build something that really has nothing to do with obelisks or shapes like that. Let's build a ship. This was a wrecked ship on the bottom. So we're working on different ideas here. Okay, let's try to go back to. I'd like to get back to the
Website.
But
Can you,
well, let's just get we're here and. So the latest sculptures. Okay, this was in Oslo. This was inside there is a sculpture that nobody paid attention to. So we built a wall to protect it. You see the sculpture on the top there. So we built a wall around it, and this is in near Oslo, in Maubrey in Sweden. This also is like 2,000 loudspeakers. You can see. There's the wreck. So these are all hooked up. These are like 2,000 or 1,000 loudspeakers, and they're all soldered together. And as I said, you can plug your guitar into it, or there's a microphone in front of it, and people can just use it for expressing themselves. And
how do you power them?
yeah, it all works on digital amps, which is like 12 volt.
Mm-hmm.
You do need a power source for it. Some sculptures actually sometimes work with solar energy too, but basically it needs a power source, a decent power source. But thanks to today and modern technology, now you have small digital amps that can do an incredible amount of power.
There's a power amplifier
Yeah,
running those tannoy speakers.
Yeah, but
Used
this
to
says, in
do.
this
I know,
case,
that's another story.
they does it too. So this was, where was this? This was in Karlsruhe, yeah, which is streamers, where also there was live streaming video, so you could actually call it up and talk through it and watch the people there and see how they reacted. So as I said, these sculptures are becoming more and more interactive as the possibilities go with electronics and with media. Here's arena for you. This is after 8 months usage. What's great about loudspeakers is that you can't really kill them unless you get very violent. You can. What most people don't know is that you can throw a loudspeaker inside a swimming pool and take it out, and it's still going to play as long as there's no electricity going through it. It only plays signal sound, right? Of course, you can't throw the amplifier inside the water because it needs amplification. But what people don't know is that as I said, some of these sculptures I put out for 1 year. And even a little water or rain doesn't make a big difference on them. As I said, the materials are cheap. here you can see typical situation with the arena. This was in Canada.
But basically there is only one audio input. So if there are many players or instruments, they have to be mixed to one signal, and one signal is going to all the speakers, or there is some kind of mixer and you can distribute the sound to different
There's
speakers.
always a mixer because, for example, actually there's two outputs. So there's one main output because what some people like to do is also have a karaoke effect that you play, you call up and you or you get whatever you play a sound, you know, pre-recorded sound, and then you can also sing to it. You can have parallel things going on, and also with so there's a mixing board where you have the different sources coming into the mixing board, and then basically going to an amplifier. But as I said, well, I didn't say this. The problem with using smartphones and telephones is that you need a different system because of getting the telephone signal and answering machine and stuff like that. It can get a little bit complicated, but it works with. But or even with telephones, there's also 3 telephone inputs. So I do that because I was a little bit worried of making it into a dictator sculpture. I mean, it was always a little bit the problem sometimes that you might think that maybe some people might use the sculptures for political reasons or for whatever their own reasons. Interesting enough, that happens very rarely. But that's what we did with the telephones. That we made always sure there were at least 2 telephone receivers, so that somebody started talking, that somebody else could also talk against them or talk with them, or maybe create a dialogue between them. So it's the possibility for different inputs.
Was there a problem with like a profanity, for example? Because you don't control what they're saying, right?
No, only 3 minutes, and the volume we can control too. But the calls are limited to 3 minutes calls. Also because of that. You don't want somebody calling forever. The answering machines that we use are digital, and they also record the calls. So usually at the end of each sculpture, I have like 6 hours of recordings, which I have to admit I have never really heard. People have gone into it and checked different parts. But you know, that stuff does not happen. No, it's something very interesting.
That's not my experience in life.
Well, what kind of prison? I'm talking about open sculptures that anybody can use. I would have also thought in the beginning, and some people also thought in the beginning that it might be used by neo-Nazis or whatever, a different situation. But that very rarely happens, and I don't really know why. I figure because it's art, and what I see is when people are there with their Bluetooth, and then they hook up, all of a sudden they start smiling. They say, "This is my music," and it's coming through this monumental sculpture in the public space, and they smile and they dance and they enjoy it. So essentially, what's important is you have an aesthetic form there. You have a structure that people recognize or somehow feel familiar with, and I think that kind of inhibits people from saying bad things. I don't know. It's just I'm proof of it because I've built something like 30 of these sculptures, and I have the recordings in the end. And it really only really happens once there were guards inside a museum, and then they started making really bad jokes. But there was nobody there, so whatever. So these sculptures are proof that that basically mankind is good.
Thank you for that.
Just wanted to let you know. It's good. Yeah, the Delphi temple. And in Cairo we built the obelisk, right. Interesting thing about Cairo is that people told me you'll never get any recycled loudspeakers in Cairo. And this was interesting, and I went to the local largest market in Cairo, which Italy has 30 million inhabitants. And what we got ghetto blasters, cassette recorders that didn't work anymore, and people would just try to sell them for for like 50 cents because they didn't work anymore, right? Nobody uses cassettes anymore. So essentially, this monument is built out of ghetto blasters and cassette recorders, but electronic junk is everywhere and is available everywhere. Here you see them, people enjoying it, singing and karaokeing to.
What is played through the speakers when nobody is using it?
I like to use. We also add into it a little tiny radio that plays white noise, so you can feel that the sculpture is working, but you don't have to hear anything. But I'm a friend of white noise, and you can't really tell that it's white noise. It's just kind of a little hissing sound, a little very very light hissing sound, so it feels familiar. But normally I would not. It's for people to use, and I don't control it, and yeah. It controls itself, and it's there, and as I said, a year and a half in Karlsruhe. The Tory was then for a biennale in Kobe, and afterwards they said, "Well, what are you going to do with it?" I don't know what I want to do with it, and then we found an artist residency not too far away, where they were more than glad to pick it up. And then we rebuilt it on top of a mountain near a small village near Kamiyama in Japan. And the hurricane came in, and interestingly enough, it was on top of the mountain, and it knocked it out of its anchoring. It was anchored with cables and all kinds of stuff. But as it was lying down there, and then the technician there on the side, he sent me a video. It was still playing. The loudspeakers cones were full of water, but they were vibrating, so you could see that it was still working, even though you couldn't hear it. As I said, vibrating air, in this case, loudspeakers are indestructible. So here's God's Mountain here, where the Tory was. And the audio igloo. Audio igloo also was made its own sound because they're also amplified. We got this from recycling companies, and also there were radios and turntables and all kinds of stuff. We just soldered everything together, and it's made its own sound, basically white noise. And interestingly enough, white noise changes all the time also. So if you have 6 different old tuners in there, the whole sound of the structure, the loudspeakers are faced indoors, always changes according to the daylight, the planet movement, I don't know, different things. Theater entrance in Berlin, and the Berlin Wall. Actually, we used a piece of the Berlin Wall and got invited to Angers to build a sculpture, and so we made extensions of it. And of course, this was a project you can see on the left there, a project that I had when we were living behind the wall, called Speaker's Wall. But then 20 years later, I get to actually build it again, but live with loudspeakers. So as I said, a wall of communication, not a wall of separation. And sometimes we make money, and this is the Hard Rock Hotel in Palm Springs, California. It was the entrance to the Hard Rock Hotel. And this is a asparagus field in our area. So instead of asparagus, I went to the local recycling company, and they had a huge mountain of telephones. And I said, "So what are these telephones?" Yeah, these were the former East German police stations, and they all got new telephones from the West. So they threw their old telephones out. So these are all Stasi telephones that we then planted in the ground. Wonderful speaker system, completely impervious to water, and wonderful recycling opportunity. In this case, because this village and all the villages in East Germany at that time had employment problems, then we played from the internet, job offers from the internet.
Did you check those telephones for bugs? Like listening devices?
I'm pretty sure they have bugs in them now.
Yeah, we are the bugs. And actually, this was a very earlier one in Riga, before the ballerinas were invited to Riga, where we actually recycled a working hero sculpture in Riga, and then we just installed loudspeakers inside it, and then people could play their music through it, through a telephone answering machine. So recycling from oppression to communication. And here's a container and a container exhibition, so I'm just going to keep on going here. Originally, this is also before the audio closed. I said in the beginning we liked using public speaker systems. In this case, we're using mailboxes where the tenants of a building each made recordings, and we played the recordings of each tenant through their own respective mailboxes. Right, okay, I'm not good. This was a building also that we used in the former times to play church bells. This is all earlier work, okay. Audio painting. This is early work in 1980s where different soundscapes of Berlin, different parts of Berlin are played through a painting. So instead of seeing a landscape, you hear it. Oh, and they play audio batteries. But how are we doing with time now? Because I like to show. You'd like to see videos too, right? Play a little.
Past 1.
It's past 1.
Do you want to switch to the browser?
Yeah, let me just see what's here. I'm just going to go through here, show different pictures. This is also Riga, was an audio ballerina and accompanied by guys with electronic rakes. And then Marble Palace in St. Petersburg was usually original Bolshoi dancers. And this is very recent. This is 6 months ago. Audio ballerinas are still alive and kicking. And here's the middle one of their light to sound performances. Once again, using the main sound sword of flutist, and the ballerinas sample her sound, and then they pitch and they loop it with their tutus. They get quite aggressive with their tutus sometimes. One of my favorite pictures. So here's audio ballet using the electronic rake and working with the crowd. But look at the crowd here. Do you see anybody smiling? They're just awed. They're awed by this ballerina with her audio rake.
This lady at the table in the white,
Yeah.
in a way,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, because ballerina's raking the money away. I have to. This PDF is really nice. And here's kind of an interesting photo of using a light to sound controller. The camera had an interesting angle to it, but it has a nice perspective on her sensor.
Sorry, I have to go, but I would love to see some videos.
Yeah,
Maybe
okay, so
can you
let's
play
try
one?
back to the video, to the website. Maybe I can try to do it myself.
Oh, escape.
Probably you should press escape.
I'm trying to look at the here.
Escape. But
I think I need help.
Okay. Can I get rid of?
Yeah. So go to infos. Oh yeah, the videos. Yeah, okay.
Better than me with the
Yeah,
website.
So okay, we have our choice here. Yeah, okay, we have our choice here.
We don't have
Okay,
to-
yeah, okay. German. Okay, well, yeah, usually the. Let's go to Beyond 2000. Oh, what are we doing? Oh, it's playing already. I'm not playing. I don't know what I'm playing. Very short. Where is Beyond 2000?
You just scroll down, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Well, let's play this and see what happens. Okay.
Am sichersten kommt man mit den Plänen an die Schriftwand. Das Das war einer der Gründe für den amerikanischen Klangkünstler Benoît Maubrey, ausgerechnet ins verschlafene Baitz zu ziehen.
Wir wohnten damals in Wedding und der Mauer fiel und dann wir suchten nach einer Scheune irgendwo. Dann hier im Dorf über in Makler, die haben irgendwie das war ehemalige LPG-Hof, die suchten einfach Leute, eine kleine Familie und wir haben uns beworben. War keine große Sache, war hier ein riesen Ruinenhaufen hier mit diesen Gebäuden, aber es gab einen Bahnhof und dann gab es wegen unserer LPG-Hof, da gab es auch eine Telefonnummer, ein Telefon und was war der dritte? Und dann gab es 4 Gebäude statt einer und als wir sind beide Handwerker. So dumm und blauäugig war. We also let graffiti people also express themselves on the back of the sculpture.
She said, "Counting down the sadness. I know you want his habits, so I can take it in." Savage.
Und da kommen sie ganz schnell und wollen mal wissen, was hier so vonstatten geht hier.
Bekleidet mit Lautsprecherröckchen, Synthesizern und Lichtsensoren an Stirn.
Can you find the other one off?
Der Tanz mit dem Licht wird somit zu Klang. Die Performances werden seit Jahrzehnten weltweit aufgeführt. Aber geprobt wurden den Tänzerinnen hier in Baitz.
Okay.
I saw a title, Audio Guillotine. This seems interesting. And
Yeah, right.
useful.
I'm looking for it. Did you see it?
Third line.
Third line.
In the middle. Yeah. Right? Yes.
Third
Well,
Oh yeah. Okay.
the neighbor. Yes.
People love
People
destruction.
clapping the same as yes.
It kills electronic music.
There's so much stuff to watch.
Audio Peacock. Yes.
Okay, I wanted. Okay, there's one kind of basic one I like. This is all on my websites. I mean, you can look at it at home too. Where is Stop. Okay, stop now. Okay. This is an audio ballerina playing her sensor, and you can watch the pictograms on the peacocks. One more video, and I just have to finish Cypress work.
How many projects do you do a year?
I'm retired.
To zero.
Actually, we have a sculpture in France next year, and tonight I'm doing a performance. Ballerinas about once a year too. Yeah, it's okay. It's dealable. And my health is kind of giving up on me too, but. Oh, here it is, Beyond 2000. Okay, this is kind of old, but it's English. Beyond 2000.
Baitz was a quiet place. I emphasize quiet because, as you'll hear, sound is crucial to this story. Anyway, apart from the twittering of birds and the occasional chimes from the clock tower, nothing much disturbed this tranquil village just outside Berlin. But then one day, a stranger appeared. And I mean strange. That gentleman, who goes by the name of Feedback Fred, stands at the dawn of a new era in ear usage, using noise as art. And this, I guess, is one way to visualize it. This outfit is loud, I'll grant you, but it's loud in more ways than one. This is electroacoustic clothing, a new field of sculpture which is meant to be seen and heard.
What was that?
Feedback Fred's alter ego is Benoît Maubrey, a former painter whose life, well, just lacked colour. His dissatisfied artistic meanderings led him here, to a studio where he now creates entire wardrobes that squawk, squeak, hum, crackle and hiss. We find Benoît fine-tuning a solar-powered tutu, a plastic performance piece adorned with the flotsam left over from a technological tide. Microphone jacks, speakers, circuit boards, now employed to create audio art. The basic idea, simply record and replay. It's just that Benoît's recording is not what you'd call conventional. Once recorded and placed on a repeating loop, the sounds can be speeded up, slowed down, distorted. Like messages from somewhere beyond the fringes of the universe, these electronic burblings are music to Benoît's ear. But he's never happier than when he's using his cacophonous creations in the field. Literally.
What we do is we select specific sounds and we reproduce them and we compose them into choreographed sound mobile performances. Then we record.
On this day, we captured the gurgling of a brook on his audio smoking jacket.
Voila.
That's it?
That's it.
And this is replay?
That's right. Just do it to it.
Okay, let's have a listen.
Okay.
I didn't feel a thing. We embraced the idea of solar-generated feedback. But I still had one burning question.
Why sound? Why sound? Why sound?
Sound is a good way to work with outdoors. Sound is actually color that's perceived with the listener's ear.
If that's true, then these girls are preparing a rainbow. High above the Berlin streets, they're tying on tutus and doing some torturous tuning up in readiness for an impromptu performance. After some last-minute soldering, all is ready. And against a backdrop of breaking glass, the audio ballerinas begin their decibel dance. This boisterous ballet is actually meant to irritate you. And that's the whole point, making us redefine the way we hear things, taking everyday noises that we normally ignore and forcing us to listen to them. And in Benoît's philosophy, if you're listening, chances are you're thinking as well. The finale, a spray from Manfred's sawn-off sax, which becomes electronic wailing. The sound sirens whirl and twirl towards the show's climax.
Communications, technology, computer chips is a whole new world, and it's wonderful and exciting to integrate that into art.
Benoît's ballerinas have made several unscheduled appearances around Berlin. Train stations are a favourite venue, good acoustics, and a few willing participants. Do you find you get a positive response?
Very rarely, but we keep trying.
Whatever you think, you're bound to hear Benoît's message loud, if not so clear.
We can stay here all day and show a lot more videos.
Baitz was a quiet place. I emphasize quiet because, as you'll hear, sound is crucial to the story. Anyway.
Now, I'll show you maybe one last short one of what time is it anyway?
1:23.
There's one last nice solo of a ballerina. It's lights and
What are you looking for? Maybe you can
I'm
take
looking for a solo audio ballerina.
Okay.
It's on the right.
No, that's solo ballerina. I wanted the solo.
Misunderstood.
Okay.
Kann es sein, dass du auf der Ballerina-Seite gucken musst?
That wouldn't help. Let's go back. So. The line deeper is like.
The line? You see?
Yeah, it's also like that, but that's.
Solo ballerina, second line from the bottom on the right completely. Solar ballerinas? Or?
Just
No, not
solo.
solo.
No,
Solo.
solar.
Solo. Okay, well, let's just show
Do the
people.
peepers. Do
Yeah,
the
just show
peepers of the
people there.
ballerina.
Okay.
Simple solution.
This is a lighter frequency controller. They're holding in their hands. Questions?
Have you ever been arrested?
Actually, no, because we're too fast, and I'm in the background. No, but interesting. But talking about Poland, I think it was here. Malik, where's Malik? The ballerinas were, I think, about 10 years ago. They were here, and we did a performance on the main square, and somebody threw a bucket of water on one of the ballerinas from a top floor. But that was not the police.
Local police.
Spontaneous reaction.
But
No,
you do
because
work without
this is
permission,
I mean,
right?
what?
You do work without permission often.
No, we don't work without permission. No. I did that in the beginning, but no. Now we work with contracts and with festivals, and when there's a problem, then we say talk to the festival. Don't talk to us or whatever. And who's going to arrest the audio ballerina? I mean,
well, in Poland, you'd be surprised.
Yeah, like in Cairo, you could get in trouble without permission.
actually, no, that's interesting. In Cairo, we had the least problems of anything,
Really?
because it's a dictator, and the Minister of Culture running the festival, and so actually we were well protected and could do. This was in we did the performances, the installation on Tahrirplatz, actually, which is the big place where they had the demonstrations. But no, there was no. Actually, Cairo was really great. There was no problems. But we didn't know about it. Yeah. Or like the loudspeaker problem that there's always junk you find everywhere. But you're a musical student or whatever. Anyway, does that work in your idea? Because an audio tutor, for example, that's our main instrument that we have that we use a lot. And as I said, they're instruments. So that's why I call this is it orchestrated sound or is it choreographed sound? I mean, it's like, for me, it's like an orchestra. And we do rehearse, and we do have different instruments that we use, depending on the instrument. And there are very strict choreographies, as you saw. But for me, it's an orchestra, and I treat it like that. And I assume a lot of the festivals, and they treat us also like that. But it doesn't sound like an orchestra, because it's sometimes a little bit the sounds. Interesting story was in the beginning we had a lot of gigs with companies, with galas. Car companies, a lot, because they saw, hey, look, mobile sound, look, and it has nice legs too. And so in the beginning it took a little while, but they caught on, and we did world tours with VW in the Pyrenees for the managers and all this kind of stuff. And so what would happen is we'd arrive on the site, and then we'd say, okay, now we're going to rehearse. They say, okay, you have to rehearse. So we say, yeah, we have to rehearse because that's the space, has to do with the space and the sound. And then we'd start rehearsing, and then one of the managers was going to said, I mean, this looks really beautiful, but what's that noise you're making? And I said, well, it says audio ballerinas, right? It's not ballerinas, it's audio ballerinas, and they're playing their instruments. And he said, uh-huh. And so most reaction was, and they take the check out. This is the check. Can you go home? That happened 2 or 3 times. So it wasn't the police; it was the money people. And they, now we don't get so many gigs with car companies, but we get museum gigs and and places like that. But whatever. Audio tutu is a wonderful instrument. We're a third generation, and the audio ballerinas made babies. Now the babies are carrying the tutus, and so it keeps on going all the time. And, yeah. And tonight I'll be showing you my audio tuxedo, where I also use sampler radio and all that stuff, and under a controlled environment. And but I'm solo. As I said, this is a multi-acoustic mobile sound sculpture. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
A little story that I'm not supposed to tell, but I like to tell it anyway at the end. So, right at the age of 8. My mother came into my room, and I was sitting on the table writing. I will not disturb the class. I was writing 100 times, and she said, "Benoît, are you making trouble in the classroom again?" And I said, "No, just getting ready for next time."
Good.
Just to remind the others, some of your performances, I don't know whether you have this on your website, because
you were not here when she was asking about the police, and I said actually it's not a problem, but actually very interesting situation happened when the ballerinas were here on the main square, and somebody threw a bucket of water from the window.
Oh, that's perfect.
I said, this is Polish tradition. Polish tradition.
It was a test for
the quality of the
Easter Monday.
So that's why ballerinas always carry umbrellas with them now.
But do you remember the last result? Because they moved through this corridor inside, which usually is full of tourists. Cukiernice, the famous place. And they were coming with the brushes.
With the rakes, yeah.
Yes, to clean up the space. Well, of course, I love those surprises and the reaction of the people, which were quite extreme, in fact. But in certain moment there was I remember this special kind of calm, and then
the line performance. That's the line performance, right? I didn't show the video either. Too many videos to show. Yeah, no, of course. It's one of my favorite pieces also. But once again, going into the about trouble and police and stuff, I mean, we're just temporary. It happens and goes. And every once in a while, normal people, they have their problems. They get excited, throw water, yeah, it's maybe a spontaneous reaction. But I mean,
you have to
it
be
doesn't.
ready with that. I think you have to keep it in a window.
It's just temporary, and it goes away. Some people, we don't. It's not an audience that we pick. It's the audience that's there on the street. People don't pay tickets to come see us, and sometimes people are very busy with their stress, and they see something like this, and they go, "Oh, this," you know, they react kind of like that. Yeah, but usually it's all okay. I mean, like I said, it's been close to 30 years since the first solo tutu, and it keeps on going, everything. But like I said, no more car dealers and no more money. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
thank you.
Thank you for being so attentive. As I said, this is all on the website. And if you want to, because you can't remember the website, you're welcome to take a card with you so that you have the website. So here.
Okay, so that will be a special pass for the concert today. Okay.
Thank you.
All those who are present here, they have a special pass. They can go in a very special.
And there's also a book. There's a book. This is a prototype of the book, so you're welcome to also look at the book if you want to look at it.
Okay, I've got it. So
yeah, he's got it.
I've got it.
He's got the hardcover, chocolate version.
I love those pieces. They're very enjoyable.
So just to remind you that that in a program, Benoit's performance is the last one, but we are not quite clear yet. But because usually we are operating a block, you know, the evening. So perhaps we start from the first floor with the marimba and the video player, then we go to downstairs, to the -1 with the neo quartet actors. And then we don't know, because we are in between the levels.
Right.
That's what I told you.
I mean, after looking at the space now, I thought it would be nice as a middle piece. Not that I wouldn't use the whole staircase, but
you can do it, because we discuss about it.
Because we looked at the backstages, we looked at different situations, and I think I mean, I don't know what the music that comes after.
The consideration about the people, you know, we are taking the people from one place to another place. So there's a story. So then they will pass those places, and then they see.
Yeah.
Okay,
the problem is you cannot control people, but
right, no.
But we'll let them do what they want to do, and I think it's good in the, I think it's good in the,
as it is.
Yeah, we can decide spontaneously. I'm going to go over there anyway. I talked to the other musicians there.
Okay,
I told them that around 3 I want to come
from Shimon.
Make a tryout and try everything out.
It is coordinated.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah.
Będzie odbywać na wydarzeniach późniejszych?
Też musimy ustawić jutro te...
Ale ja nie wiem przedtem.
Ale ja wczoraj Szymonu, że jest możliwość, żeby użyć góry i dół, tak? Na te koncerty.
Jest to w ogóle już zaplanowane.
Żeby nie były razem w tym samym miejscu.
Nie, jesteś z Gołębiewskim, jesteście razem na dole. A Francuzi, którzy przyjechali, myli mi się Adam Gołębiewski ze Szczepaniakiem. Nie, bo to jakoś tak ładnie brzmi. I on jest Tomek, więc, a czasami jest Tomasz, no, a Adam Gołębieski jest w inny dzień zupełnie. Nie, wszystko jedno. Chodzi o to, że dźwiękość skleiłem z Zero Gain. W sensie, nie rozumiesz tego, że jesteś obecny w obydwu programach. W tym momencie, dziękuję. Dlatego, a Francuzi przyjeżdżają w ostatniej chwili, więc bezpiecznie jest, jeżeli oni są w innym miejscu.
Do miłego.
Bo jak będę jeszcze, będziemy na nich czekać z tymi ustawieniami, które macie z laserami i z innymi rzeczami, dużą perkusją. Nie, no to musimy ustalić wcześniej, Krzysiek, no. Jak będziemy przenosić perkusję tą ogromną?
Ale jedziemy. Po prostu postawimy na górze.
Sorry, but you know, we're talking about tomorrow and I'm a little confused.
You doing a concert tomorrow?
Yes.
Oh, good.
No, but
You staying?
Yeah.
There are 4 performances.
I know.
That will be at the museum.
And then
No,
in
in
fact,
Bukiesztuki.
in fact another solo
Yeah,
performer,
yeah.
another solo performer, Dimitri, is already in the Bukiesztuki now checking because for tomorrow. Yes, for tomorrow. Just because like Benoît, he's coming and he's checking the space because that's basic, Oh, okay. Sometimes
It's about resonance.
sometimes it's nice to go and to be surprised and to be unpresent a little bit. But I think that this is tomorrow is a special challenge. No, Krzysiek, we know each other too long to
we
discuss
figured
about.
it out. We figured it out.
But in fact, I don't. You know what I was sometimes. But I'm bad boy in this matter. I'm in a trouble with narcissistic concept in general. But there's no democracy in art, which is evident. But then we are going to another structure, and I like this in between. So there are solo, individuals coming, and then when
Always
they
a little
share
bit
the
of
same
chaos.
space,
Run a little bit chaos.
That's all good. It's all good.
then when he's telling about we can manipulate, we can see, but then on the end, it's your plan. So that's why I'm a little bit afraid,
This is what you're going to
He's
do tomorrow.
he's
So
too
we are
strong.
still here tomorrow.
Yeah.
Oh, we made a lot of common projects. So
Yes,
that's
we are
why-
here. That's good.
Like a nice story, the same story. No, I think there was.
But again, also
Yeah.
tonight, I don't think it's a
Ja to
good idea
ustawiłem
to do it
praktycznie, kiedy
spontaneously. I
ktoś
think
przywozi,
it's good
co my
decide.
potrzebujemy.
just discussing.
Stary, jak to mi się rozsypie, to potem...
To się nic nie rozsypie, słuchaj.
Ale ty nie
No,
wiesz,
no,
ale
no,
ty nie
we're
wiesz,
just talking
czego
about-
rozmawiamy
we're
z
just
Simona.
ty nie wiesz, co brakuje do innych rzeczy.
In the middle.
Na tym polega, ty jesteś skupiony na swoich rzeczy i już rozmawiałeś z Szymonem, czyli sobie załatwiłeś, nie? Ale ja wiem, jakie są luki w innych rzeczach i teraz te luki, przyjdzie ktoś z podobnym planem jak twój, no i tak, no właśnie, bo ty byłeś wcześniej. A to chodzi bardziej o ustawienie przestrzeni, prawda? Co? My tam mamy 3 ekrany, nawet nie wiesz o tym jeszcze.
Ale gdzie na górze?
Nie. Wybudowaliśmy dodatkowy ekran z przodu, na którym był wczoraj koncert i pomalowałem tylną ścianę, na której była rzeźba. Dlatego, że tam jest największa ściana, a nie w tym cholernym przodzie. A z przodu jest spuszczany ekran, który zajmuje 1/3 sali. Dlatego ja biorę takie rzeczy, gdzie ja ludzi usadzam. To są rzeczy dla mnie istotne. Byłeś wczoraj, ty widziałeś, co się działo. Wystarczy jeden moment i puszczam ludzi, żeby już, bo oni tego nie rozwiązali. Zostawili 13 krzeseł dla 100 ludzi, no i co? A ja się pytam, gdzie są te poduszki? Miały być poduszki, tak? I to co powiedzieli jutro.
Właśnie pytanie z wejściem. Tam są jakieś bilety?
Oczywiście, że tak. Czekamy na każdego, żeby z niego wyssać nie tylko kasę, ale też krew.
Nie dowiedziecie, tu jest bilet.
Dobra, to skrót jest taki. Wszyscy artyści, wszyscy autorzy wykładów wchodzą za Afriko. I już, żeby to tak prościej powiedzieć, bo Osad ma wykład, więc może żeby już nie... Ale generalnie jest tak, że wpuszczamy oczywiście i tak dalej, tam przyjaciół i tak dalej.
Dobra. No, I also wanted to use the elevator also.
I need you for
See you later.
2 signatures now.
Okay.
And that is the papers from the academy after the list. Try to be. And it's not.
Try to be
But if you can pretend to be professional or something, I'm doing this. But in fact, that would be perfect. It would be perfect to sign this now. This is the first, it's in Polish, there's a matter of trust. So I can tell you, this is yours, your copy. And now we start Academy of Music.
Just sign
papers.
here. Close your eyes and sign.
Yeah. And as we thought, I know that your question about cash was quite clear, but I will explain. 2 signatures here. Then is a very nice place here. For years it's the same. This tax form. This figure is 10,000 minus 20% of tax is 800, which is a little bit less than 200, and the rest is paid in cash. Is it okay? Because I know that you ask about the whole cash, and if you say no, I'm also ready for that.
No, here's a good guy.
Sometimes I explain. Now I'm bad boy, bad guy. Yes. No, but that's a little bit like there's no struggle, but there's some bureaucracy and some paperwork that you need to do. That's obvious.
Oh yeah. Also have presents for you and
I would stay here because I'm waiting for the transportation of the big drum and the big gun, not for your concert, but for Tomek concert. Okay. This is the story, because you know all those locking doors here, there's an obstacle sometimes. And I'm the person to unlock it.
I know that I want to sign this for you too. You want to open those?
Pleasure.
Yeah, yeah. Wait a minute. But I work perfectly. So people don't open
You can buy I see that you can buy train, not buy.
It sounds like
What's the name?
no, audio geisha.
Oh, that's true. Oh, yes, right, that's geisha.
Because you know the performance from here, during the festival is on the website.
It's very nice, yes.
I don't know whether you have
Yes, it was difficult to select the right video at the moment.
Small.
You know, we can
During the one performance.
Yes,
Oh.
yes.
I will send you, but it's already.
Did I send that to you, or did you pick it, or what?
No, there's an archive of the festival. There was a recording made during the performance, but I'm catching up all the time with all trying to put, you know, because that's always hard work when you're running so many things. Uzupełniał właśnie te stare, najstarsze nagrania i to jego jest i on właśnie jest zaskoczony, że jak widać połączył.
Are you marriage?
Really?
Tuxedo only says yes. It's good because it has QR codes. QR codes, so all the content you can hear on the snapshots with the QR code.
Okay.
You should enjoy this when you have some quiet time.
Super. The date.
The date.
Which is 15.
You can play. You can put also the city.
15th,
Then it's quite clear that it was. Yeah, I was also like sometimes. Yeah, with the city Baitz, it's a main location, but sometimes there are some other cities connected with Benoît.
Sometimes.
Sometimes it is. No, I make a live interview in a second program, culture program in Polish radio, and the guy who asked me about why I'm putting those cities. Usually either putting the years or country. I said no, because I don't believe on the structure like this. We are like nomads, we are flyers and interconnected with some points.
It's nice to be back in Poland. It's nice to be back in Poland.
Nice to really great to have you here.
Oh, yeah, not just
after
that.
a while.
Yes, it has been a long time.
When it gets really dark and
I
it starts
haven't been here last time,
pouring,
but it's the first time I'm in Krakow.
rain.
Last time
I
with the
just say
ballerinas,
quite
Stay
long.
only 2 hours, and you
Especially the meeting in Baitz.
Yes, the meeting that was in '96.
Yeah. Something like that. That's okay.
I still
The
remember
time is
very well. Do you
living,
still do
stretchable,
your
stretchable.
performances with the light?
Yes.
Yes,
Sometimes
with the light
I
bulb.
make a
Oh,
special
wow.
reconstruction
By the
recently
way,
on Draw Festival in Wrocław.
I've never been to
It was
Louisville.
like
You should
an
come.
anniversary of Hawaniewski or something.
How long have you been there?
But I was also laughing about the
Uh,
fact that
down
I'm
love,
doing
right?
this so to make me a
I
semester.
went
or so like,
for
What
study.
was
I
in
don't hear it.
Chicago,
You- I
and
don't hear
finished
what you said.
study and fell in love.
and then moving
Found a
back
job.
Oh yeah, stop it, stop it.
Yes.
Yeah, sometimes
And I've been there
it's changed.
since
But it's
since 2008
nice
in
how the
Louisville.
old things then
Wow.
always
So it's
come
been a while.
back in the end. That you
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
those were the
But
years
I'm in
that
Poland very often, so
where you have your main ideas
projects
and
and
then
stuff.
later on you
Louisville,
work on
Kentucky.
those and bring them ahead. And
The United States is such a
but
big
now
place.
I know.
we missed you last
It's a
one
lot of,
about a year
I
ago
know,
in
I
Berlin.
know,
That
I
was
know.
It's
From the
actually
beginning
very
of this year,
strange
yeah,
Yes,
because
yes,
I'm used
yes,
to
yes,
Europe.
you
I
were-
was
everything
very
is
sorry, but
very
I've got
And
some trouble
in the States,
myself
everything
with
is
my
like
friends.
sick,
So there were like a
Need two cars
longer,
together.
bigger group.
You need
Really,
a
and
plane
there was
most
like
of the time.
with Micho Iwata,
That's the
Duto
problem,
Dancer from
because,
here,
you know,
who knows
If you go from Louisville, I don't know, to
Then
New
I
York, it's
lost
12 hour
in fact,
drive, which is
then
okay,
we were
doable,
planning
but
and
then
we
you
were
go
talking
to
and
LA,
yeah,
it's 3
yeah,
days.
yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
a bit more
That
difficult,
makes
you know.
things
That was a pity.
changeable.
That
I did the
that was a
opposite.
pity because
we
we
did,
saw also the,
uh,
also the
it was all West
documentation that
Berlin and
Rolf
then
has
the
done
small
this
village.
table
I did the
concert
opposite.
with really
small village,
many
150
musicians here. So
yeah.
that I think
Right.
those were the
Yeah,
biggest,
Guess
the
to be
biggest
house.
The
ever
place, in
table
fact,
concert.
the same place.
We have done them
I did the,
also
yeah.
several times.
And
Also
sold my car.
no,
and
in Baitz
everything,
actually,
train
not
station,
in
village, and so
kind
it's
of
the
other
opposite.
locations.
I don't
have
think, I
participated
go back there
a few
every once in a
times
while.
and I always
But
liked
The States?
it so much.
Yeah.
Mhm.
They
And,
never
so it was
understood me,
my
and
idea
they
then
never
to-
will.
Oh yeah,
understand.
experimental
as a
music
memory
does not
and
really, you know,
Art in general, art in
Link
general.
to Rolf because nobody had done it.
Homosexual artists,
I know that
He had
black
Right.
people,
so much
black people
from it.
anyway. But
Yeah.
LGBTQ
you know,
right now is
communists,
communist is
artists,
So
you get
possible,
on,
nobody
right?
is
They're all the
doing
same.
anything
Right?
for this guy who has done such
Yeah, no,
important
we don't
work
get
for
into
the
we fight this, yeah, we
the
fight the
sound
system.
like
You know, what we do.
community.
And you
so
do
how
the
is this possible?
projects in Europe.
Yeah,
I don't know because we
Fucking
did
love.
with my friend Alexander the
Yeah.
installation with the marbles and it was in Janotto.
Oh yeah.
It was nice to see
So,
what.
so in fact, when we are using some video, we are making a reference to this special
but man, you like to have
even
fun.
that we're doing this in Haag
What else
and
do you
different
do?
places. But
Yeah.
and we made a
And I
reconstruction
didn't choose
here
the house village for
last
me in the
year
United States to
during the
really have
festival.
fun.
What
And
called
it's
reconstruction.
amazing. I moved to
Ice
West
ears
Berlin or
and
whatever.
nose.
It's amazing
And
the
the
city
name
where
of
it's
the
have foreign
installation
artists.
from
With
89.
finance foreign artists.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Well, I
Yeah, so
think
whatever.
that
But
it's
maybe
very simply it
I don't think
stays.
I'll go
It
back.
stays in my mind, in our mind.
That's nice. Still have my passport.
I'm still
But,
presenting,
yeah, I don't know,
sometimes
it's
with
been-
some kind of misunderstanding,
Too long.
because the times
It's been
go
too long and
in different direction
I
now,
don't
and
know.
also the
also
people,
they look at me kind
the
of
younger
strange.
people,
Now I even have
they
a kind of
count
strange accent
the
when I
things
speak English.
from the birth, all the time
Everyone
when
in
they
the
grow
States
up.
has an
okay?
accent anyway.
And so those recent and former things are.
But immigrants are not too good right
Yeah,
now.
and
So.
yeah, it's
Yes, exactly, exactly. We
Actually, I
notice
start
that
worrying
every
about that
day more,
when
don't
I
we?
go back because you know, look at my passport.
And of course, but
so
then
why do you live in
another
Europe?
story is of course I have some students
Exactly.
which
I will
are
not answer that
discovering
question.
those things.
Might be
When they
incriminating.
discover, it's like partly their own choice, and that
Where in the States
change
are
a
you
little bit
Washington, D.C.
this basic
Oh, okay.
misunderstanding. Then they are
But my
coming,
parents were French.
coming back to
so I was
us from
first
the
generation
past.
American.
Okay.
I always explain.
So are you speaking?
Sometimes
Do you
explain.
speak
Well,
German
you
with French
know,
accent?
when I was, which is
yeah.
also another primitive.
Because I
not so
heard
much.
that when you
When
speak
I-
the second
when
language,
I was
you,
young, like
you learn it with the accent of the first language.
Yeah.
And you
Then
learn.
we
And I
were
speak
doing
French with a
similar
German
things, in fact.
accent,
So
and, when I speak
just do
English,
it, you know,
it's,
because
it's a
activity,
strange kind of English.
opening,
People can do-
flexibility,
but like
presence,
and you know
which I
these
sometimes
Republican
call
guys,
inherence,
President Baitz,
is,
they have wives
is,
that-
is a story.
they're not
when
US
you,
citizens. I mean, they're not
when you
US.
understand the space,
I know.
and
So what?
also the especially those
whatever.
communication,
No, I
those
think
It's
lines
all- it's
between
all-
people,
I still think
all
it's
those small
it's
movements,
a
and
great
how we communicate, then we are good.
That is nice to look at it from outside.
I believe that.
Or just drive your car around for days and hours and
Sometimes
weeks
this
and
is
months
like
and
don't
whatever,
see
because
anybody
it's
else.
still
happen.
full of weird
You don't know
weirdos,
exactly.
you know.
Disappeared or
But I mean, My point is
yeah, we were talking
elected
a lot yesterday in the bar.
Afro-American twice as president.
After the
Yeah,
concert
we
about
missed
those.
it when we were sitting
But
in
that's
the
when
train.
actually
We
all the
arrived
racists
only
came.
at,
came.
one
Yeah, but
o'clock.
that's,
It was-
you know, the same story.
Because the rhetoric was that okay, now we are post-racist society, and then it hit them, you know. That this is actually the next election show.
Not from Capital, from
Our son
Amsterdam.
and
from Wrocław,
That's a nice place.
Most of them were delayed, you know, and
It's too much traffic.
Also the place you are is also
I mean,
partly accessible.
I've been in Seattle
The keys.
actually in
So I was a little bit afraid maybe I should took
and
all
it's so much
keys and
traffic.
wait
It's
for all of
a
them,
nice
but then
city.
it started to be, we are like a
I mean, there's
reception,
also
it's not the
a
place.
money problem.
We
You
are
know,
like
I
a
don't know what your son is
top
doing,
in a
but it's
hotel.
really expensive in the States right
But
now.
yesterday we lost another key.
Oh, I think he's okay.
Yeah, because
Yeah, that's the whole thing. But I mean,
I've got the
he makes
message
money there,
about
but I
delay,
mean, I was talking recently.
too
You don't
late
need all that
to
money.
open
You just need, of
because
course,
it was
when you
a
really know
concert.
you need that money.
Oh, yes.
When
So
you
I
come
should
back
be
here,
on all the time,
Stress.
you know.
Yeah. It's a lot for you. I mean,
come back,
even when
come back
we
to
saw
Europe,
it,
then,
it's
you
about
know,
20 hours.
you don't need that much money.
Yeah, the
It was
41
really
is
I don't know what
one
they're thinking. They make up their minds anyway.
And we are a very small group, so that's we are comparing all the time with other big festivals. Yes.
Yes. Okay, so anyway, this guy needs to eat something because he hasn't
Yes, you should
slept
go to
properly,
Ustashi.
he hasn't eaten nothing.
This is Ustashi
And,
and
and in
Poeski.
1 hour is rehearsal, so is there a pierogi place
Dobra.
in between
Do you
here
know?
and
Do you know
no,
the place?
Is the
That,
pierogi place
okay, there are
between
two
here
places.
and,
Okay,
and
one
the
place
bunker?
I can.
Listen.
No, I can show you the place.
No, but just on the
Because
way, not
They
somewhere
will.
else.
No, don't worry. They will wait. If they come, they will wait. They will call me. This is the logic. Okay. So I'm going with you. I'm
Very
perhaps I will not sit with you there because
Yeah, we understand.
yeah.
We understand.
If you're a troublemaker and they don't like you there. I know.
I will show you the place. I think that's the best. There are several bars here around the academy with pierogi, but I think Ustashi would be the place. Ustashi. Bo ja zamknę teraz studio, także muszę was wyrzucić. panowie.
Hast du noch was im Müll?
You've been watching the videos the whole time here. I can tell.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Hi Sarah, how are you? Okay, so you have finished.
Wyłączam jeszcze streaming.
You can come then. Okay.